All right. Welcome to another edition of the Joystarters Podcast. Let me just start out by saying I am embracing the real. If you don't know anything about me, maybe you're coming to me from the Determined Society, from Sean French, and you're just getting to know me. Let me tell you something, baby. I am all about the real. And the real is I've been on a decluttering kick for the past about month and a half, 2 months, and I've been majorly decluttering. And that behind me, if you're listening to the audio, I'm pointing to a day bed in my office where I have accumulated like the last bit of stuff in my office that I have to go through and I have to figure out what I want to do with. And did I want to take time this morning and take away from recording this podcast to clean it up? I did not. And so this is real. I am tired. I'm sick and tired of people on the internet showing you fake, showing you curated, showing you things that are unattainable. I always laugh and say, when sometimes you'll see these show homes or the HGTV, and nothing against HGTV because I love that. I love the show. I love the network. Nothing against them, but they have these homes that don't even look like lived in. I'm like, yeah, where are the pictures of the people that live there? Where's the clutter? Where's the project that's in process that hasn't been finished yet? So yeah, you won't get some real from me. We don't edit a lot in this. It's not a scripted podcast. That is just who I am. So please don't be distracted by the many things that are on the daybed behind me because I've got lots of wonderful things to tell you today. We're going to jump around. There are multiple stories I want to tell you that really don't have a thread of commonality other than I want to tell you them, and there'll be some teaching moments in that. So let's just jump right into it. This past week, and I also, too, if you're new to me, I take off the mask. I get real. I don't know how to be anything other than real and myself and authentic. So authentically crazy, authentically scatterbrained, authentically passionate, authentically hard worker, authentically loving, authentically, did I say crazy? All those things, right? And if you are new to me, I have another pile next to my desk. This is my book. I wrote it last year. It became a bestseller. It's called Relentless Joy. And now I am working on my second book. I'm very, very excited about that. So just wanted to share that with you. So last week I celebrated this jacket. Little thing won't stay down, but it's a really cute jacket, by the way. I just pulled it out of my closet. I love the changing of the seasons, which, by the way, if you're listening to this on audio, that means you need to go to the YouTube page, the Determined Society, and you need to go see the podcast there too, if you prefer to watch it, or if you just want to see my jacket or laugh about the clutter. Because if you got clutter too, raise your hand, raise your hand. If you got clutter too, raise your hand, raise your hand. If you got clutter too, but you're doing something about it, y'all. I'm doing something about it. I feel so accomplished. If you could see like the changes and the things that have happened in my house and things that have been cleaned out and the things that are being donated, man, but it's a process, right? It is a process. So last week, I had my days mixed up. And I thought all day Friday that it was the 17th, and actually it was Thursday. And so my husband and I were at a game, and my daughter's volleyball game. She was in the playoffs for high school, and we were there. And I thought the 17th was the next day. I didn't realize it was that day. And I had my days mixed up, so I missed what used to be our anniversary. Okay, this used to be our anniversary. Yeah. Okay. 7 years ago on the 17th and this is the coolest story. I was asked to speak at a quarterback club, and it was the women's night where they one time of the season that went the wrong way. One time of the season they brought in a woman to speak. And I was there. My mom drove over. She brought her best friend. It was just awesome. And I remember being in a back room and they were asking me to take pictures of people, which always makes me giggle. I'm like, what? I'm like, really? Me? Okay, people want to take pictures of me? Okay. And so people were coming in and out. And I remember this man came in, and I'm just kind of hearkening back to it right now. This man came in and he was tall, blonde, chiseled, had a really nice suit, very handsome, I was like, wow, okay, it smelled good. And we took a picture and that was that. And so I continued to take pictures. I did some media with the local media there. And then I walk in the main room and I look for my mother and her best friend, Sandra. And this stranger is seated next to my mother and they are in like rapt conversation. Like they are just that, yeah, they're like deep conversation. I sit down. I am focused on getting up to speak. I am not focused necessarily on what they're saying. I just know that they're in deep conversation. I could tell my mom likes this guy. And so I get up to speak and I can barely like look at the table. I can barely look at people that I know whenever I speak. It just makes me nervous. And I still get the willies, by the way. You should get the willies. I want you to have something that you get the willies about. That's the first teaching point. Something should make you nervous, like good nerves, and keep you on your toes. People say, do you get nervous anymore when you speak and you do that? Heck yeah, I do. Because the moment that I stop getting nervous and take it seriously is the moment that I don't have reverence for what I do. And so I absolutely do. So anyway, I'm gonna abbreviate some of the story because it's in my book and you need to get it, or you can go on Audible if you want me to read it to you. And I go into the whole story of that night. But afterwards, I ended up talking to this wonderful stranger, and that stranger ended up becoming my husband. And so this past week, as I missed my anniversary, and it was our anniversary, we called it our anniversary the first night we met, October 17th, 2017. We even have a picture that I got him. It was the constellation over Montgomery that night. Oh, God, it makes me tear up now. But here's where I want to invite you into the story. And I always do this on this podcast. And the first thing, remember, that I told you is I want you to have something that gives you the willies. It makes you nervous. It gets you excited. It gets you good nerves. The second thing I want to remind you of is love is not a fairy tale. And somewhere along the line, I've taught on this, somewhere along the line, we have been fed this Disney fairy tale idea, right? This Disney fairy tale idea that's what our relationships are going to look like. And if you read the book again, Relentless Joy, and you can go on Audible, Amazon, or wherever books are sold. Thank you to all the bookstores, both nationally and locally, that have carried my book and helped make it a Christian bestseller last year. And even if you're not a Christian, it's a great book to read. But I taught on that in the book. I teach on this across the country, but I don't know where we get off this idea. We've been fed it by media, by magazines, this idea that we're supposed to have this Disney fairy tale of relationships. My husband and I broke up twice before we were married, and there were people around us that were just like, I don't know, man. I don't know if this is, I don't know if this is going to work. I mean, we didn't know, but we always made our way back to each other. There was never anybody else. And at the core of who we are was our shared beliefs, our faith, and that we were best friends. But I'll tell you, and I'm going to be very vulnerable here. I'll tell you that as I was looking back, over these pictures, and I missed the day, and now the day is significant, but it's not as significant because it is very significant to me, but it's not like as much because we have a wedding anniversary at the beginning of December. And so he jokes and he's like, it's the anniversary of the day that Buddy Joe, my dog, we found something on his butt. Yes, something like that. He's really funny. And by the way, find your secret weapon in your relationships. If you're married, if you're in a relationship, or if you desire to be in your relationship in the future, you can get prepared. Always get prepared. Find your secret weapon of your relationship. Ours is humor. We laugh in a lot of places where the enemy used to get us. We used to fall in the bear trap. Now, do we occasionally still fall in the bear trap? Sure enough, we do. But I got a marriage coach. Her name is Shirley. And if you're in a relationship or want one, she's amazing. I can give you her number. And I have a therapist. And I've decided to do the work on myself. And it's made our relationship that much better. I'm not pointing fingers at him. I am doing the work myself. And so our laughter is a big way that we stay out of the bear trap. Okay. So that's one thing. But here's the vulnerable part. I remember when I was dating him, and I never dated anybody over, I think, 2.5, 3 years in my life. It wasn't a fear of commitment. It wasn't any of those things. It just had not happened for me. And I had my career. I was a career woman. I was a sportscaster. I rose up to be a national sportscaster. I was traveling all the time. It was just, there was a lot to it, right? And a lot of people thought they wanted to date a sportscaster, but the reality of dating a sportscaster is you have to be a really secure man. You have to understand your woman's going to be in locker rooms and she's keeping her eyeballs up. Don't drop the microphone, just eyeballs up. She's interviewing men, she's traveling, she's doing all of that. So you have to be really secure. But I had not ever dated anybody over 2.5, 3 years. And I remember thinking, and I thought about this week and I wanted to talk to you about this. I remember wondering and being scared. Will I stay in love with somebody? I was scared. I was scared that maybe not necessarily the attraction, just in general, I was scared that can you love somebody like that for the rest of your life? Romantically, I can't believe I'm admitting this to you, but this is I'm a real person and I want to talk to you about real things and I want you to really dive into your life. And I don't know if you've ever had those thoughts, before you got married or if you're single now and maybe it was an irrational fear, but I was scared. I was scared that it could be lasting. And it was nothing about him. It was about me, and my capacity to love romantically and forever and one person and all of those things. Well, I can triumphantly and safely tell you that 7 years in, I love this man 10 billion times. And I loved him at the beginning. 10 billion, 100 billion. I'm dotting my eyes with the freaking eyeglass cleaner. I don't know why I bothered to put on makeup. But I love him 10 billion times. And when I started, because he's still very attractive to me. He still takes my breath away when he walks in a door. He's still funny. He's how he works and how he serves people and how he shows up and how he loves and how he takes care of his family and the greatest dad on the planet, the greatest dad. Last night, our daughter and he didn't know this when he planned his meeting and he couldn't get out of it, but he travels for work and he has several companies and our daughter had districts. They won districts and they were on to regionals. And he missed her game last night. And he was as heartbroken as she was. That's just who he is, And so I was there. I was taking pictures of the family and video and all of that. But I'm happy to report, and I just want to tell you before I move on to my next story, if you have those same irrational fears as me, I have a friend named Karen, and you won't know who she is, but my community knows who she is, and she's newly in love, and we were talking about things, and so I just want to shout this out to you, Karen, or to anybody who's falling in love or anybody who's yet to meet this person or somebody who's going through a rough patch in their marriage or relationship and wonders if that love can come back and can endure. Let me tell you, baby, let me tell you, we have been through the roughest patches and most of it was to do with me. My propensity and my coping mechanism is to run and to push you away, but I really want you to come close and wow, this is a vulnerable podcast. And so there have been, before marriage, after marriage, I have done all the things to sabotage, right? Except go out of the marriage. I'm a faithful woman. I love my man, one woman man. But we're two imperfect humans that love each other and love God, right? And so there have been moments where I'm like, God, this is that. Whoa, yeah, no, not good. Throw in the towel. There's been those moments, and I'm going to write about it in my next book. But yet, love endures. But yet, hope comes and joy comes in the morning. But yet, when you are best friends and you have that foundation, and there are moments where I look in the mirror, right? Like therapy and working with my marriage. I look in the mirror and I'm like, Rachel, I'm like, you're the problem. Get it together, right? You're the problem. And that's your best friend. Do you want to hurt your best friend? No, you don't want to hurt your best friend. And so I will go in there and apologize. I will stick a note under the door. I will do those things because I don't want to hurt my best friend. He's my best friend. So the last thing I want to say about this story before I move on is, and it may, and just wink, wink, nod, nod, show up in the future. You may hear this phrase in the future. I'm winking hard. You will definitely hear this phrase in the future. But I had a girlfriend, God bless you, Jennifer, who lost her husband not long ago, just a couple of months ago, if even that, at a freak accident. And they had 2 young girls. And I was really shaken by his death and by her loss because it happened so suddenly. And I was walking through my bathroom one night, cleaning, decluttering, doing all the things that I've been doing and just loving it and feeling good. Again, going to work on that area soon. But I was walking through my bathroom and God said to me something like this: the audacity that you have to act and live as if you're not on borrowed time. My gosh, did that hit me right between the eyeballs. Oh my gosh, did that hit me between the eyeballs. Uh, Here I am. I've been entrusted with this man's heart. I have been given this gift of him and these beautiful children. And I met him a little later in life. And truth be told, we're all living on borrowed time. I don't care if you're 22 years old listening to this podcast. We don't know if tomorrow's our last day. We don't know if we'll wake up. We don't know if we'll get hit by a car. We don't know if I fly on a plane on Friday and that's my last day. We are living on borrowed time. We are living on borrowed time. How dare we have the audacity to act as if we're not living on borrowed time? And so that really woke me up to this idea, and it's just helped me settle in to this deep appreciation, love, and perspective for my husband. And so I just want to encourage you, because you know I'm an encourager. I'm a natural encourager at heart. I want to encourage you that to be more in love 7 years later is not only possible, it is doable. It is a reality. You have to do the work. You have to do the work on yourself. But it is a reality, and it can be a reality for you too, not as a possibility, a reality. But you got to do the work. You got to look yourself in the mirror and say, what part of the problem is me, or how can I love better? Or by the way, it ain't just me. I was alone for so many years that I operated on a me mentality. I don't operate on a me mentality anymore. And sometimes when I catch myself doing it, I go, oh my gosh, I am part of another soul. I am in covenant partnership with somebody. So how does he feel? What does he want? How can I provide a safe place for him? What did I make him feel heard? Did I value him? So I just want to remind you, I just want to encourage you and tell you that to be more in love 7, 10, 20, 50 years later is possible, but it takes work. So I want you to think about that phrase that God hit me with that will show up later in all the different projects I have. But how dare we have the audacity to act and love as if we're not living on borrowed time? And so I'm so sorry, Jennifer, for your loss. Your girls. Don't tell you that your loss woke me up. And I loved my husband before. Don't get me wrong. It just woke me up to like this deeper level of like, oh my God, appreciation for my husband. And yeah. And so 7 years later, get the day right next year, Rachel. 7 years later, I'm more madly in love with this man than I was at the beginning with the butterflies. And y'all remember butterflies. Butterflies are strong. Butterflies are awesome. Butterflies are like, I get to kiss him her face. I'm like, so butterflies are amazing. I'm telling you, there's an even deeper, beautiful, absolute, solid, just steeped in crap. You've been through it. You've held on. You've been through the fire. There's a deeper, even more beautiful kind of love than just the butterflies. And I'm in it and I'm living it. And I am living on borrowed time. And I'm loving my husband like I'm living on borrowed time. And I don't even know how you transition from that. But I'm going to. And I'm going to tell you, we've been talking a lot this month about Helene, about Milton, and we have adopted a family, I and people around me. And I just want to say thank you to everybody who has done this. I've only put it out on my Facebook. I have not put it out on my Instagram yet. I put it out in the Joystarters Club, which, by the way, you should join the Joystarters Club. It is totally free. The link is below. You get monthly text. If you text a month, you get a challenge. We have a monthly meeting the third Tuesday of the month. And this next month, y'all, is going to be amazing. I'm speaking to athletes.org about mental health and athletes, and all of you guys are invited if you want to hear me speak. So many of you have said to me over the years, I want to hear you speak. I want to hear a talk because I don't put my full talks out there. And I said, this is the chance. This is what I'm saying to you. I'm saying that you can hear it. So it's going to be the third Tuesday of November. I think it's at 6:30 Eastern, but you got to be in the Joystarters Club to get that information if you want to get that information. It's just a Facebook group. You put your number in, we send you text. That's it. It's totally free. I made it free. It's my community and I love them and I'm so grateful for them. So, all right. So we have adopted a family. Her name is Brittany. They lost their house in Augusta. They're staying with family in McDonough. If you know anybody in Georgia, for my people that are in Georgia, if you have any resources or churches in McDonough, can you please reach out to me? They have four kids, 3 or 4 kids. I can't remember, but I asked her to put, and she didn't even ask for help. I found her through one of the posts I've been sharing incessantly. And also aerial recovery is a great way to support the ongoing efforts. And we'll put that link below, aerial recovery, my friends that run that. And so Jeremy and Brittany, I'm just still so grateful for you for the work that you're doing. So we adopted this family. I vetted her. I made sure that obviously it was legit because sadly there are scams out there and Lord knows I've been the victim of them. And people are getting more and more really smart in these scams. So anyway, I vetted her. She and her husband are staying at a family's house. So all 6, I think, 4 kids, all 6 of them are staying in one room. His family has taken them in. And so she put together, I found her, let me circle back. I found her because she had made a comment and she wasn't even asking for help on a post about the hurricanes. And I sent her a message and asked if we could help. And I asked her to make a Amazon list and the woman made an Amazon list and literally had nothing for herself on it. She was like, I just want to make sure my kids are taken care of. And I'm like, okay, you're amazing. And so we have been supporting her. My friends and family that are on Facebook and in the Joystarters Club have bought out that first Amazon list, but there's phases. We are not going to help this woman because we've been talking a lot about giving back and serving. We're not going to help this woman and her family for just this little amount of time and not see her through. And that's what I told her. We're going to see her through down the line. So the next steps is we're trying to get her to DoorDash because they have a car, or to Uber Eats. She's gone in for her checking back on FEMA, checking back on food stamps, finding a church that does a food pantry in McDonough. If you know a church that'd be willing to help me adopt this family and help them. So we got to get them back on their feet. She's got to get income. The husband has is immunocompromised and found that out just before the storm. And so her family's up in Michigan. Her mom is also battling cancer. Her grandma is taking care of her. And so they're kind of on their own, but they have this family that has taken them in. And so we are also going to be trying to help the family that's taken them in. And so if you want to give a gift card to Kroger for them to get groceries, I would be so grateful. Just message me, just send me a message, send me a DM, send me an email, send me a carrier pigeon. I don't care. But if you want to help me, we would know. You would have that safeguard of knowing, and you can also trust me because I've done this after more than a few natural disasters, that will get to them and we will take care of them. So we're trying to figure that out. We're trying to get her to resources. We're trying to figure all of that out. And then the next step is, like I said, getting her, meaningful employment. Is she going to stay in McDonough? Are they going to go back to Augusta? They said they'll go anywhere in Georgia. And then we got to try to find them a place, a house, an apartment. And then at that point, once they have an apartment, I'm going to lean on all my people to help decorate it. And maybe we go up there and help her decorate it, but we donate gently used things at that time. And so I just want to say thank you for everybody that has helped with Brittany, with this family. And we're not going to leave them. We're going to be there for them in the long run. If you want to help too, it's the first time I publicly talked about this outside of the Joystarters Club, outside of my private Facebook. It's not private, but my personal Facebook. If you want to help, just send me a message. And if you have resources or a house or an apartment that you would be willing to rent for very cheap, or any of those things that might be able to help us, at that point, we're going to have to do a GoFundMe, I'm sure, to help them get up on their feet and into this house. But we're taking it step by step, phase by phase, and we are seeing this family through. So wanted to tell you about that. And then lastly, I want to tell you about my friend, Terry, y'all. She is Terry Kauser. This girl is amazing. I met her when I was invited to speak at Jeremy Anderson's Next Level Speakers Conference, which blew my mind. sold out room, met all these amazing people, amazing speakers from around the world, trainers, speakers, all of these things. And I met Terry there. And Terry teaches all about business credit and personal credit and wealth and management and debt and getting a house and all of the things that are financial, right? And she does it from a faith-based standpoint. Well, Terry and I have done some lives together, and I just love her. I love her. I love her. I love her. And I'm going to drop her link below. Well, another vulnerable moment I'm going to tell you about, and that is that I don't know what I don't know. Okay. There it is. That's the first part of the vote. I don't know what I don't know. That's all of us, right? But the vulnerable moment is, and if you read my book, I keep going back to Relentless Joy, but if you read my book, you would know that in 2020, I lost everything. And my mom had just passed away of cancer in 2019. 2020 was my year to come back. I was on the cusp of a huge partnership with a conference, a sports conference that was going to fund the movement from, here to oblivion. And my speaking schedule was all full for the year. And within 2 weeks, I lost every single bit of my income for that year because I was a speaker. So I ended up losing everything. And I have crawled back, both by my own help and my husband's help. And I'm very grateful to him for that. But I have crawled back just little by little by little by little. People look at me and they think, oh, she must do this. She must do that. I had a person say to me one time, that, I don't think she meant it in a nefarious way, but she said, it must be nice jet setting around the country. And I thought, oh, honey, if you only knew what it takes to run a movement, for your speaking engagements, to fund the movement, to fund these things, to go places where they can't afford to pay you, but your heart tells you to go and God tells you to go. It's not as luxurious and not as, wealth growing as you might think, right? But I fast forward back up a little bit, I should say. I met Terry at this event in June, and I was scribbling constantly. My sister and I were scribbling notes. We attended every speaker. I remember Jeremy saying, do you want to come in just, for your event and leave? I said, no, I want to be there all 3 days. I want to learn from everybody. And I ended up getting a marriage coach out of it. And Shirley, I'll drop her link below. And I met Terry. And so Terry and I did some lives together. And I just have felt this calling to call Terry and say, look, I don't know what I don't know. I know that I'm missing things in my business credit. I know I'm missing things in my personal credit. I'm now back to a good place. And after all of that, and I need help. I need you to teach me. Would you teach me? And she said, I will. I'll teach you. I'll coach you. And I said, you know what? I will talk about it. I'll take the mask off. Why? Why are we like, is that a bad thing? Like, hey, I never learned about this or that. Or I only learned so much, or I don't know, things are changing. Why is that a bad thing? I'm telling you that I've lost everything, that I crawled back, and now I want to learn how to create generational wealth so that I can help more people. My friend Brittany Turner from Aerial Recovery, she did my podcast years ago, and she said something that stuck with me that I'll never forget. She said, I want to make more money, and I have no shame about that because if I make more money, I can help more people. And I was like, what? Boom shakalaka. Why are we ashamed to want to make more money? So we're going to go on this journey with Terry. You're going to see her on my socials. I'm going to be talking about what I learned. I'm going to be talking about what I applied for, about where we're trying to figure out right now, like we're about to trade in a car and we're trying to figure out what we want to do with that. Do we want to buy one? Do we want to put one under my business? Do we want to do this? And, my husband has got like a finance degree, like from Harvard, but I want to be a smart wife. I want to also have that knowledge. I want to up my game in this area, y'all. You woke up today. It's time to learn. You woke up today. It's time to learn. So if you're interested in having your finances be better in any area, business credit, personal credit, debt management, wealth building, having other revenue streams, whatever that may be, I want you to follow along my journey over the next couple of months with Terry. And again, links below, because I think you're really, really, really going to learn something too. And I think you're going to be blown away. And I think you're going to fall in love with her too, because she's pretty amazing. All right, that is it. I love you. Next week, I'm going to be telling you all about my trip, y'all, this weekend. I can't even. This weekend, I am going to hang out with my mentor, And I call him my bestie, Bill Snyder, Coach Bill Snyder, freaking Coach Bill Snyder, Hall of Fame Coach Bill Snyder. I met him years ago at the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl when I was hosting a panel, and he was on that panel and we became friends. And then I went to an event with him and his family, his daughter, when he was being honored at the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl. And I fell in love with his daughter, Shannon. So Shannon and I are going to Manhattan and we are going to the Kansas State, Kansas game with Coach Snyder. I'm like, I was telling some friends last night, if you had told little Rachel when I was just growing up, we cry, man, happy tears. If you had told me when I was growing up, that would one day grow up, little football obsessed Rachel, like one day grow up and like be friends with get a Hall of Fame coach and friends with the late Bobby Bowden and oh my gosh, if friends with Frank Beamer. I'm like, what? Like how? What? How? This is amazing. So next week, I'm going to be telling you all about that. I love you guys. I hope you have the most blessed and wonderful day. Remember, I want you to have something, just a roll call time, something that gives you goosebumps. And if you want to figure out what that something is, I coach. I have one more spot open till the end of the year till we do a mastermind next year with only women starting in January. I want you to do that. I want you to remember wherever you are in the spectrum of love, if you're looking, if you're in it, any of those things, that long-term love is possible. Deeper, more lasting love is possible than what you're even experiencing now, but you got to do the work yourself. I also want to remind you that if you want to help Brittany and her family, all you have to do is send me a message. I need help in so many areas with her: resources, food, Kroger cards, housing, any of those things. And maybe you don't know it, but maybe you have somebody, somebody that has an apartment or know somebody that can help them. That's that. And then lastly, I want you to go follow my friend Terry. And I want you to learn on this journey with me about finances, about business credit, about personal credit, about additional revenue streams, about wealth building, baby. Let's go. Let's roll. In the immortal words of Todd Beamer, a freaking national hero on 9/11 and forever in our hearts, let's roll, baby. Don't you dare have the audacity to act like you're not living on borrowed time. It's time to love deeper, love better, get the healing, learn more about your finances, create generational wealth, help somebody else. Because remember, character is who you are when no one's looking. I love you guys. I'll see you soon.